So we're live. You can just toss on your headphones. Cool.
These are very foamy. You'll have to watch.
Sick. This is actually exciting for me. I was wondering when I was going to drink a beer on this podcast. Dude, Adam. And what's your last name, Adam?
Sheff.
Adam Sheff.
Yeah, it's like a cook, but not spelled that way.
Nice. And Coolville Organics is the...
Yeah, that's what I came up with for my Instagram. I think I'm going to roll with that moving forward, too. I've got some plans, but, you never let the devil know the details. So I don't know if we'll speak on that. We'll speak on it a little bit. But,
Cool. Awesome. So, so the way that this started is I literally just saw, your Coolville Organics Instagram page. I thought it was pretty sick. It seems like you're a pretty knowledgeable guy. It seems like you know what you're doing, grown a pot plant or two in your life, cannabis plant.
So I've always gardened since I can remember. I remember being like 5 or 6 years old, and the neighbor would come up and plow an area for the garden with his tractor, and then would help my mom plant a vegetable garden. So that's kind of where I got my knowledge. I had not really cultivated cannabis a whole lot in the past. I did one illicit grow in the woods previous to legalization. I did one grow indoor previous to legalization, and it just made so much herb for us that I didn't really have to do it, anything beyond that.
Yeah.
So, but now I'm going full steam ahead because they have told us that we're allowed to grow that plant now, and I'll never stop. I'll never stop.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So how did you discover cannabis? When did it come in? So, well, actually, first I was interested. You said you started farming. Have you always been here in Athens?
Grew up in Little Hawk in Coolville.
Okay.
The post office kind of determines where it is you're actually from.
Yeah. Nice.
But I live 3 miles from the house, the property that I grew up on.
Yeah.
Now, and the post office calls that Coolville, and it just happens to make a good Instagram name too. Yeah.
Hell yeah. So that, cool. So you've been around Athens, and so then the culture then it's kind of accepted. I think more so than most areas.
Yeah, I am just now getting networked into this Athens family, this community, which has been a blessing, and can't say thank you enough to this community that has brought me in to share their knowledge and share their genetics and just welcome us into the community. I never really took those jumps before, but with legalization, I started running into people at the grow shop that I would ask questions of, and then they would give me their Instagram. Shout out App Girls Cannabis, Josh Crozier. He's one of the first people that I met, and he was just welcoming me in with open arms, and he has a wealth of knowledge all on his own. And then I also met, as my wife and I were at Casa one night having some food, and I saw a guy sitting there with a cultivation shirt on, and I asked him what was up with that, and that turned out to be Ronnie Smith. He's also one of the first people that I networked with.
Nice.
So he was the motivation to start the Instagram page because I didn't really want to post it on my Facebook or my personal page, just because, there are still careers going on and that type of thing. And so I thought, you know what, I'll start a grow page and just keep it somewhat discreet. And that's Ronnie was kind of the motivation for all of that.
The separation of the two. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I just went to Ronnie's page and I went to the Cannabis Museum and just started hitting that follow button.
Yeah. The Cannabis Museum, what's that?
Oh, you don't know the Cannabis Museum? My friend, that is the family. It's located on Route 50. It's about 6 miles down the interstate towards Coolville.
Okay.
It's
Stimson, right? Out that way? Or 550?
Towards Belpre. So you would follow the Belpre signs, and then the Cannabis Museum is off to the left as you're headed towards Belpre.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can see it from the interstate. Nice. It's founded by Donnie Vertschafter, who is a lion in the cannabis industry. I know just a small snippet of Donnie's story, but when he was young, he started out touring college campuses and educating people on hemp and what it was good for and could be used for and its benefits. And he just ran with it from there all the way up to helping to create. We'd have to look it up. I can't remember, but I think it's the anti-seizure drug that was developed by a large pharmaceutical company, and it's derived from cannabis and hemp.
Wow.
And he was on the ground level of getting that developed and out into the masses to start providing relief to some people, which is Donnie's story is wild. He's a really cool fella. But like I said, a lion in the community, the cultivation and cannabis and hemp community. And this is kind of he calls the Cannabis Museum his insanity.
That's cool.
But they've been doing grow classes there. We've been doing cooking with cannabis classes there.
I think I saw like posts on your Instagram about that.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
And so it's been a great family to be welcomed into. It's kind of a hub for that whole cannabis community in Athens. I'm finding, do music shows and stuff like that.
So has cannabis changed for you? Like over the years, like
it has. So my first exposure to it, my dad has been a lifelong user of it, and I can remember being 5 or 6 years old. I'm helping my mom with the vegetable gardens. When my dad gets home from work, I'm following him out to water the tomato plants that are, for whatever reason, growing in the woods. Yeah. But my dad doesn't mind me disclosing this. So that was my first experience when I got old enough to realize, what exactly was going on. I found ways to access that medicine and help myself to it. And so been a user since I was 16, leading up to legalization, the issue 2 passing. I was really, really close to pretty much just not smoking cannabis. It just wasn't really something that I was doing a whole lot. I don't have, and there are times in my life when I would say, yes, I need to start utilizing this for specific purposes. I don't have problems sleeping. I don't have a problem with anxiety. So, I really was a recreational smoker, and I really tailed off. My wife has a lot of problems sleeping, and she has always utilized it for sleep. And so when it became, okay to cultivate, I have been researching cultivation. Although I've not cultivated the plant, I've been researching for good 10 to 15 years, just soaking up information on what it likes and the things you need to do to keep it happy. And so when they said that we're allowed, I was like, well, I'm definitely going to fire this up and get it going, so to speak. No pun intended.
That's cool. I have so are you growing photoperiod plants? There's like
Yes.
photoperiod autoflower. I have some autoflowers that I'm trying. I grew my very first plant
I
last
love
year.
this.
Yeah,
I love
just
this.
like one plant, like I was moving it inside and outside, and I got it like moldy because it was like the AC, and so like I made some mistakes, but trying to run it back
how we
again.
learn.
Yeah, I just had like 2 last year. They were okay. Not great quality compared to what I guess I was used to just like purchasing from someone.
Yes.
But
And
I'm excited for the autoflowers.
Most of that goes back to genetics.
Which I know nothing about.
Yeah, so tomato plants, they're bred to resist disease and to look pretty and to yield high. And so, over the years, all of these vegetable plants, a lot of them are derived from cabbage, like broccoli is it's just a crossbreed of cabbage and some other things, just like many, many other vegetables that you eat. And so we're seeing the same thing with cannabis. People are breeding it to do different things. And unfortunately, right now we're seeing with the commercial, with big cannabis, they're breeding it for high THC content, a lot of times for appearance. And they breed.
Which is crazy. Marketing versus.
Yes, marketing.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. We are consumers at heart here in the United States. Yeah, and so they make it look pretty, and they give it names, that kind of coincide with like candy and that type of thing, and people love it. It's marketable. But a lot of these old school strains are the medicinal strains. They're the ones that are going to really hit you for the pain relief, and because they're carrying all the when you look at that label at the dispensary and it says 46% THC on it, that's by weight. It's percentage of a weight by volume, and so if there's something in that plant that's taking 46% up of that weight, how much room is there for other compounds? You still have the plant matter there's some moisture content in it. And so basically they're breeding a lot of the CBD, a lot of the terpenes, a lot of the medicine out of it to get those high THC numbers so they can put that on the label and sell all kinds of it.
Could you explain the difference between like CBD and THC? It's like the chemical compound. I understand like that, but like functionally, like are you familiar?
We all have a endocannabinoid system, and I am not the local expert on.
No,
these
that's
things.
okay. Yeah, that's okay, man.
I'm learning quickly, but I have not really immerse myself into the minors, the CBD minors and majors, and what all they do. They are neurotransmitters. We all have an endocannabinoid system. We have CB1 receptors in the brain. We have CB2 receptors in the body. And so the THC will bond to the CB1 receptors. And I believe, I might be wrong about this, but I believe this, the CBDs, the CBGs, some will do the CB1, some will do the CB2s. They can counteract effects. They can amplify effects. They provide different medicinal values. Terpenes are also a neurotransmitter. So, when terpenes will also bond with the CB1 and CB2 receptors. They can counteract or amplify. Chocolate is a thing that's carrying some of these same terpenes and flavonoids in them. And when it really all boils down to it, it's just things that cause a chemical reaction in our body to create sensation or feeling or healing in a lot of ways. The CBD and THC, when they all work together, they call it the entourage effect, which is it's so important not to just breed high THC strains. From a medicinal standpoint. They call it the entourage effect, where the terpenes and the flavonoids, they're all going to interact with the THC in the body to create certain healing effects, certain psychoactive effects. And so, it's important to have that full spectrum experience. And sometimes, everybody's different. Every body is different. I've met through this community, I've met people that will get more socially lubricated or active or conversational with an indica strain versus a sativa strain, which is completely counterintuitive to the basic knowledge that we have of the plant and its experiences. Everybody is different. Some people have just the highest of high tolerance for edibles. Some people very, very sensitive to edibles. So it's all stuff that as we break out of the stigmatism and the taboo of the plant, through legalization, we're able to learn exponential amounts of knowledge that we couldn't have before because of these grassroots, what I would call experts or OGs. They've been knowing these things, but they can't come out and talk about it. And so now people are like coming to the surface. We're on social media. Some people aren't, some people are. I'm really not. I'm not doing anything wrong, first of all, so I'm not scared to put myself out there. You know what 100%. I mean? I am just a little bit concerned about careers and that type of thing. But at the same time, man, we're trying to heal people. We're trying to educate people. This is not like a Cheech and Chong style. Like, we love to smoke it recreationally. We love to get the munchies sometimes, but that's also a medicinal benefit. There are people that highly, highly benefit from from a stimulated appetite. They need to eat. And they're going through problems that are they're constantly nauseous. I might spark a little bit of controversy here, but what about pregnant women that can't focus because of morning sickness? You know what I'm saying? Like, this can help them. We don't know what the effects would be because nobody, nobody. There are a lot of entities out there that don't want to know what the benefits of the plant are. And
do you think that there is some hurdles? I don't know. You're talking about how like some people have hurdles, like just saying the truth, saying the truth.
Well, there's definitely that.
What's in the way of people just being able to like come out and talk that? She's like, what needs to change for that to happen? For that to be a comfortable space to have the conversation?
Deschedulization. We don't want legalization. We want to be able to cultivate the plant.
So can you differentiate you say legalization and what?
Legalization is there's still control by the government, who is heavily influenced by money, right? And an agenda. And so the fact of the matter is that it's a highly medicinal, highly complex, God-given plant. Like, we should be allowed to cultivate this medicine freely, and we should be allowed to share the medicine with our neighbors, our friends, our family, even if it is just because of a recreational aspect. We need to stop judging people for utilizing the plant for whatever reason it is that they use it. In my opinion,
with a subconscious like derogatory attachment to words. cannabis juice.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
Because it's crazy, right? Like, you could bring somebody a bottle of alcohol or a bottle of vodka, right? Give somebody a 6-pack. And it's like,
Yeah.
nobody cares. I could walk right into Kroger and go buy a 6-pack. But then to buy this herb, you want me to like go give somebody my driver's license and like sit in this room and then go up to this glass. Like, it's just so... It's so the opposite of organic and like natural. Like, it just feels ugly.
Yeah,
and I hate it. I just don't enjoy it. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Through consumerism, in my opinion, almost everything becomes adulterated in some way. Like it's like becoming it a lot. Like if we're doing these things behind closed doors, like in these commercial grows.
Oh, do you need cough? I have a mute button.
No, I'm good. It's just that Red Bull getting me there. But it's like first of all, organic cultivation on a large scale is challenging.
Just like because of the resources that you need to do it. What makes it challenging?
So testing. It's hard to keep it clean. It's hard to keep the bugs off of it. Like you really are growing living soil organically. You're encouraging a real ecosystem, and that means beneficial bugs, and it means non-beneficial bugs, pests that are going to thrive on eating your plant or whatever. And so it's not a controlled environment. Whereas through a hydroponic system, you don't have soil as a microorganisms. It is just straight nutrient. So it makes it a lot easier to grow a clean product that's going to test out at the end, where you're not going to go bankrupt because you just went 3 grows in a row and none of them passed testing because of powdery mildew or mold or whatever it would have been.
Yeah.
And so now we can speak about why it's so important to get testing to home growers, because we need to be able to know if the things we are doing are also clean. You know what I'm saying?
Testing what? You're testing the soil that you're growing it in? Testing the plant itself?
I would like to be able to test my flower.
Yeah. So what does that look like? What do you mean by that?
Just send it off to a laboratory,
I see.
And they will break it down into percentage of THC, percentage of CBD, percentage of terpenes, which terpenes are in it,
Which is like all the information you're getting on labeled products from a dispensary.
Yeah,
they are getting that done.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, I can't just send my flower to those labs, and even if I could, it probably wouldn't be very affordable. Like we need to expand this into home grow.
Yeah.
But we can segue into politics now. The current political environment is very temperamental. I don't really think they want us to expand home grow.
Aren't they trying to like kind of pull back some of the regulations?
Yeah. So let's go over some of that. 'Cause
Absolutely.
It's important.
Yeah.
With issue 2, the tax money that would be collected by the state was earmarked for social equity funds. That's one of the big changes.
What does social equity funds do?
So they're going to inject money into communities, help minorities, start businesses in the cannabis community. And I haven't gone down. I don't really know all the details of that or the things that it goes to, but it's really meant to go back into the community. And now the biggest change for that is that they want to designate. They not only want to raise the taxes that they charge in the dispensaries on the products, but they want to now funnel that money over into state law enforcement. And so the significance of that is that pre-issue 2, which was the original legislation that allowed cultivation and adult use recreational, was previous to that in Ohio, if you weren't in like a municipality that had decriminalized, like Athens decriminalized.
I remember that.
I don't know that
they did like the smoking out on like the courthouse steps, like the day that it was. I remember that being a big deal.
I wasn't here for that, and I didn't even really know that happened.
Yeah,
until
it was
you
like,
just told me.
No, because it was when I was in college. I just one of our regulars. I used to bartend at the pub in college. One of our regulars from the pub was like the girl smoking like a half-ounce like raw cone, like, and you could just see the courthouse right in the back, and it was like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah.
And so if you weren't in a municipality that was decriminalized, you could ride around in your car with a 1/4 pound of flour. It's like 112 grams of flour. didn't matter where it was in your car. It could be on your lap. You could be, you could be holding it in your hand. It wouldn't have to be packaged. And what they would do if it was less than a quarter pound is they would write you a ticket, and you would have to pay a small fine, and then that was it. It was a very small misdemeanor, no problem, right? Issue 2 changed to transporting, 2.5 ounces of flour, which is fine. 2.5 ounces is a lot of herb to
Take you through the day.
Party to smoke with your
Come on.
friends,
Get some dabs in there, and you don't even need as much gas.
yeah.
Come on.
That's fine. But now they're trying to change it to where if you're transporting it incorrectly, if you don't transport it as if it's a firearm and put it in your trunk or the farthest underneath the seat, furthest away from the driver, they want to give us 3 days mandatory minimum in jail.
That's fucked.
Yeah, it is fucked.
For an amount that's less than what you could have just gotten a ticket.
We're going backwards.
That's scary.
They're trying to take us backwards to where we were. So here's the deal. I mean, let's be real about what's happening, okay? Law enforcement across the state has now been losing money for a year on small marijuana tickets, misdemeanor charges, right? They're losing money on that. Guarantee they've lost money on DUIs. The numbers are out there. When states legalize, alcohol consumption slows down. Guarantee they lost money on DUIs last year. And I also would
speculate.
Yeah, I would also like to speculate that they lost money on speeding tickets last year, because I know how people drive when they hit a joint. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that is pure speculation. But I mean, let's look at what they're doing. They're trying to take the money, give it to law enforcement,
that is pretty crazy.
Put people in jail, for doing things wrong
to bring back up those quota numbers.
Yeah,
right? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
it is something, and they. In issue 2 was the right to share was fine. You're allowed to,
like, you can grow and give it to me for free.
Yeah,
which they're now trying to repeal, right?
Yeah,
is that
they're trying to say you can't share it with people.
Yeah, which doesn't make fucking sense at all.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Why?
Because
them to do that,
it creates it creates an atmosphere where people now it's going to be harder to get.
Unless you get taxed on it,
like dispensary and get taxed on it.
Yeah. Okay. So they're trying to cut that out to not like lose the tax on what the market value is of whatever I'm giving to you.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't give you an ounce,
like a caregiver law.
I mean, we need to get there. I don't know if Michigan does or not, but we need to get there. We need to be able to have clubs where there are people that will pay and there are people that are too sick to pay. And so we need to find a way to make that legal and make that safe. I don't know the legal ins and outs of it in other states, but I know they do this in other states. And I currently have, patients that, and I can't call them patients. I have friends that I give things to because it benefits them. I have right now multiple friends that have some sort of either a throat or esophageal cancer, or they're getting a targeted radiation into an area of their throat because of a lymph node. And their mouths, they have ulcers and sores on their tongues, their throats, they're on feeding tubes because they can't swallow anything. They're lucky to be able to swallow water. So I can give them, and RSO is now kind of a generic name for it. RSO originally, the method for that was isopropyl alcohol. I'm using ethanol. And so it's an ethanol extraction that you then distill that ethanol back off, and you're left with a very concentrated oil, which is it's full spectrum cannabinoids. THC,
I just saw your
CBD,
post about that.
Yeah, all of it's in there. It's highly medicinal, and they can take that, since it's so concentrated, it's not like something they have to swallow. Like the starting dose of RSO or FICO, full extraction cannabis oil, is the size of a grain, as a drop of oil that's the size of a grain of rice.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like in a milliliter is anywhere from like 550 to 800 milligrams of THC. It's pretty consistent when you make this stuff, unless you just make a big mistake and go too hot and burn a bunch of stuff off.
Yeah.
But so I'm able to give this RSO to these people, and they can rub it on their gums or put it under their tongue, and it's never going to be this thing that they have to swallow.
Yeah.
They're sleeping, they're relaxing, they're feeling better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are plenty of studies out there that show that these cannabinoids do promote apoptosis and help break the cancer cell chain. Do I think I'm healing anybody's cancer by giving them RSO? No, I'm not. But it in conjunction with things like radiation and chemotherapy, it meshes really,
Improves the
really.
quality of their life.
That's what it's all about,
Yeah.
brother. Quality of life. If
That's
you've
what's
got
up.
a family member that's gone through these things, quality of life is. Your doctors discuss this specifically with them. Is it a 7? Is it an 8? Is it a 9? And for terminal patients, especially, quality of life is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important
That's
because
awesome.
how much longer do they have?
Yeah. That's crazy.
let's make life easy for these people. I don't understand. I do understand why that there are so many hurdles to it. I do know why, and it's exactly why I'm never going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm going to grow what I'm doing. I'm going to expand what I'm doing. I'm going to try to really spread knowledge and encourage people to cultivate. It's an herb, brother. It's medicine.
Yeah.
Like we need to know what it can do for us.
Yeah. That's sick. It hits very close to home. My mother, oversharing. Sorry, Mom. She took prescription opiates for a long time, and then medicinal marijuana came in Ohio, and slowly over time, like it just kind of became a thing where she takes less opiates now because of THC and
amazing?
like access to like fucking number one.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah, fuck shout out, Sarah.
love.
Shout out
Yeah.
to you, Mom. And so just like a firsthand experience of that, and kind of very similar story, like recreational user, but then an actual real success story where. Yeah, it's like it improved the quality of my mother's life. Like opiates are probably the worst. Like if I could pick one thing,
They ruined so many lives.
Yeah.
They ruined so many lives.
Yeah.
And it's just people had they didn't really, in a lot of ways, they didn't have a choice about it because they were listening to what the doctor told them to do. You know what I'm saying? And
it's like that used to mean something.
Yeah, it used to mean something. I don't know. We have valuable caregivers out there. We still do, right? And I think it's important to seek those valuable caregivers out. If it's just wild to me that my mother-in-law through her battle with cancer, with leukemia, when we went to this center up in Columbus, I don't even remember what it's called anymore. Is it the Wexler?
Wexner, yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
He's a whole other conversation.
Last Wexner. I got time, brother.
Yeah. But I remember when she first showed up there, and we went up there with her, and I spoke to her caregivers about if there was a nutritionist that we could talk to that would, be able to make recommendations for dietary changes that would, benefit her condition and help her through some of these debilitating treatments that she's getting ready to go through. And they just looked at me like I was crazy for even bringing it up, which I think it's just wild. And I'm not blaming these healthcare professionals for this mindset because
it's probably beaten into them, right?
the pharmaceutical companies write the textbooks.
Yeah.
They literally write the textbooks that these people are learning from. Okay. Yeah. And so the word orthomolecular is not in those textbooks. Yeah. It's just literally not something that they're ever going to be taught. And so, for anybody that doesn't know, orthomolecular is the study or the practice of healing through nutrition. So in a lot of cases, food. It could be IV delivery of vitamin C, which we metabolize completely different than if we take it orally. So you absorb a lot more. Bypasses, I think it bypasses the liver. So you absorb like 90% of the vitamin C that's through IV delivery versus like tiny numbers of these vitamins that we take by mouth. And so it could be a lot of different things. In my opinion, all edible mushrooms, like all gourmet mushrooms, should be considered to be medicinal mushrooms before they're considered to be something that just tastes good. Because when you start doing research of wild forest mushrooms and some of the things that are in them, it is wild how good they are for us. And these are things that we can just go walk out into the woods and find. And it's funny because my parents' generation, they were all steered away from, like I remember growing up, my mom was like, don't ever touch a mushroom you see. You know, like never touch a mushroom that you can see that's growing out in the woods. Only, you know, what's in the fridge and this and that. And, you know, in some ways it's true. You know, a child probably should not be out foraging mushrooms on their own.
Yeah. So you don't know what the mushroom is.
Yeah. You know, there's a saying in the mycology world, and it's that all mushrooms are edible once.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, tread lightly. But at the same time, there are lots of mushrooms out there that are easily identifiable that do not have lookalikes, that are loaded with beta glucans, polysaccharides, adaptogens, all these things that break the cancer cell chain and promote apoptosis. Like, they are highly medicinal.
You said that word twice now, apoptosis. What does that mean?
That is like we have to look it up, brother, because I don't have the definition. It is definitely related to cancer and how it interacts, and cancerous cells interact with the cells in your body. I think it is actually apoptosis, I believe, is the destruction of cancerous or tumorous cells.
Yeah, cell death.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So
you want cancer cells to die?
Yes, you want them to die,
Certainly.
which is why they bombard you with radioactive poison, because it kills them.
I see. Radiation therapy. Yeah.
Kills everything else.
And then your suggestion is like, is there something that we could get the bad out without, what's a good analogy here? Like monocropping, where you just kill everything to get rid of it.
Yes.
It's like maybe we could just do something different.
So that would be ideal. I do not have these delusions of grandeur to say that I can just go pick something out of the woods and give it to you.
Certainly.
Or that I'm ahead of modern medical science in any way. But if you're in the fight of your life, why wouldn't you put as many tools in your toolbox as you possibly can?
No joke.
Yeah.
And so then that comes back to pharmaceutical companies not wanting you to like cure yourself for 7 hours worth of, you know, looking for mushrooms over the course of a week. Like,
I mean, it's just
fucked.
And you know, and like I said, I'm not saying that mushrooms or cannabis is going to cure cancer.
I get that.
Do they interact with things like chemotherapy and radiation, like the modern things that we have found to be apparently are the most effective against this?
Yeah.
Absolutely they do. Cannabis, it stimulates appetite. You know, chemo ruins appetite. You can't eat. You know, you can't eat. It helps you sleep. Your body literally cannot heal. It can't make testosterone. Can't do any of those things if you don't sleep. And, you know, if you've got a feeding tube hanging out of your stomach, or a sack that's collecting, you know, liquids coming out of your stomach, how well do you sleep? You know what I mean? Like how, and then stack on the anxiogenic effects, you know, the anxiety that's created from knowing that you're in the fight of your life.
Yeah.
Your family might not be able to depend on you soon, you know. Even if you're still alive, they may not be able to depend on you. You might need help to make a sandwich or whatever it is. And so the people are going to worry about those things, understandably so. And there's no doubt about it. Cannabis helps you sleep. Like, that RSO will just like, it zombies me out when
I'm interested to hear more about that. So the post I saw was like a couple syringes, and you were kind of like, your post was explaining a little bit like how you were doing it. So that's an extract, like how you start. Like, because you mentioned like a soak. You're talking about actually soaking the bud in like a liquid.
Yes. So Rick Simpson pioneered this process, and I think the name that was given to it were like, I think the you first make a tincture, and a tincture is alcohol extraction of compounds that are in things like chaga or plant matter or whatever it is. And so if you have things that are like oil soluble, like other oils, like when you put when you soak them in ethanol, all of those dissolve and bond with the ethanol molecules. So they get drawn out of the plant matter and into the alcohol, and then you can strain off the alcohol, and you can either ingest it that way as a tincture, which a lot of people do. That's called a green dragon, depending on the extraction details. Like, did you do an extraction with it in the freezer? Did you do an extraction at room temperature? How long did you do it for? So you have green dragon, golden dragon tinctures, and then you take that tincture and you basically just boil off the ethanol. until you're left with the cannabinoids and all the terpenes. There are still terpenes in it and flavonoids in it. There's waxes and lipids from the plant, which all help deliver the medicine to the places that it needs to go in the body. RSO is very, very highly medicinal form of cannabis, and it's also very safe from your practices and how you get it to begin with. Because it's really just, it's really just corn liquor. You know what I mean? Ethanol is just corn liquid. You can get non-GMO ethanol and soak it and then just evaporate it and then at that point, if there's a little bit of ethanol left in the extraction, it's not bad for you. It's, it's something that we've been doing for eons, consuming alcohol. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so that versus the isopropyl, I think, is the benefit. I'm leaning that I'm trying to do all things organic or single source. Like I want to go towards, ethanol versus isopropyl. Isopropyl is really not all that healthy for you. It's probably not, it's not good to have on your skin. It's definitely not good to have in your body.
I think I cleaned my dad nail with isopropyl.
Wear gloves.
Shouldn't be doing that?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay, but wear gloves because it'll absorb into your skin.
For sure, I've got it on my skin. Yeah.
And then the little bit that you're using is probably not that dangerous, but if you were using isopropyl every day to clean paintbrushes or something like that, it's bad for your brain. Oh. Yeah, it's real bad for your brain. Yeah. But I wouldn't think you'd be at any kind of danger cleaning your tools with it. Yeah.
Nice. So this stuff, you just mentioned it again. What is that?
So this is chaga. It grows on a few different species of trees, but it's highly medicinal when it's found on birch trees. And this is a fungus. The chaga is not actually the fruiting body. It swells out of the birch tree, and it is the mycelium swelling out of the birch tree. And you can collect it and make tea with it. It's known to be on the planet, I think, the highest concentration of antioxidants per weight by volume.
Wow.
So those block free radicals, which all can lead to environmental cancers. So it's highly beneficial because of just the antioxidants. Another benefit that literally anybody can perceive or feel is it's a very, very powerful anti-inflammatory. So joint pain, muscle pain, anything like that, soreness, it's going to help relieve that.
Yeah, I might try some of that with my mom. I might bring some of that to my mom.
Yeah, you definitely should. Yeah, you definitely should. This is for your mom.
Nice.
Now that I know.
Shout out to it. Yeah.
And so what you do is you just make a very slow tea. You steep it very slowly until your water turns dark, and then we drink it with lemon and honey. There's studies on lab rats. It's proven to show to shrink tumors in lab rats.
Wow.
There are no studies in humans. It's known to be a blood cleanser. There are specific types of leukemia that it's very, very beneficial for. It works really, really well in conjunction with chemo and radiation because of the anti-inflammatory effects. It keeps swelling down. I have a whole list I could look at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then how'd you learn about it? You just see it? You've learned what it was and then you saw it on a birch tree? You're not propagating this. Is that the right word?
Not,
right? Yeah, you're
not
just finding
cultivating, not propagating.
Yeah.
No, we go to birch forest and then walk around in places that have high moisture and just try to spot it on trees and cut it out of there. I learned from chaga from my Aunt Tina. Her son passed away from cancer when he was 33 years old.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it happened at all. It was very aggressive. And so through that, when we have these experiences with close family members, we try to learn, right? Some of us try to learn to see what we can do to help them. And she came across this book. She says that a very close friend of her gave her a book about chaga, and she gave it to her because she claims to have completely cured her breast cancer with chaga and diet. She was eating raw vegetables, cut sugar out, and used chaga to shrink her breast cancer tumors, and never did a single stitch of chemo or radiation. And I don't know this woman. I can't validate the story.
It's cool. It's a cool story. That's all I need. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah. And then when you look at what all's in, it's loaded with vitamin D.
Nice.
It's just good for you. It's a flavorless tea.
Cool.
But yeah, it's just the slightest little hint of earthiness like a mushroom has. And then other than that, you put the honey and the lemon in it, which lemon's got loaded with vitamin C. The honey is very good for you. It's all, it's all good stuff for you. So.
Hell yeah, man. What are some other, common just like things that you would use for that? Like the one thing that I could relate to very heavily is you posted about the like Adderall thing.
Yeah.
And like how, maybe there are alternatives to that. So my story with Adderall was like, got on it pretty young, dose up and down, and I ended up switching to Vyvanse off Adderall.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that would be like less harmful to me, but even Vyvanse, like kind of like sick of that.
There's a lot of the same stuff in it, right?
Yeah.
And then I think Vyvanse has either an antidepressant or a benzo in there as well. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
But that's the main difference between it and Adderall. I think they're trying to regulate your mood because
that's
Adderall's awful.
For sure. Yeah,
like eventually, like you build a dependence on it.
For sure.
And so, it affects your mood. I definitely in the past had self-medicated with it, and it just didn't really turn out well. And so I was kind of just left myself flapping in the wind from a focus perspective, and then just started microdosing psilocybin. And you never know what to believe anymore.
Yes.
Like, because information is it can be put out instantaneously, and there's nobody there policing what's right, what's wrong, what's real, what's fake.
It's like the truest statement in the universe can be right next to the dumbest thing ever, and like there's no distinction to tell you what is,
So when it comes to these things, like natural healing and that type of thing, I really, really try to be in tune with my body and come up with my own conclusions based on my needs and how they might be alleviated by certain things. And it is my personal experience that a non-psychoactive dose of psilocybin, a very, very, very tiny little dose of psilocybin, very organically puts me in a place where I'm able to focus on the task at hand for several hours. And it's not something I'm even perceiving. Adderall's very, like, you feel it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very good at doing what it's supposed to do for you until it's not.
Yeah, for sure.
And it becomes, it comes to a point where it was not for me.
Yeah.
And had to move on from that. But, psilocybin, it's documented that you can microdose psilocybin and never have any, feel any psychoactive effects, and you'd be good on depression for like 6 months.
That's so. Yet again, but instead, like we have some people. Now, I guess it's probably not the best for everyone. Maybe some people do need a, pharmacology.
I'm not the guy to say that. Yeah, and I'm not.
But I think I think not enough people acknowledge that there are other options for sure. And so
that's
just appreciate
where we
that
need
sentiment.
to be. We need to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to say that our doctors
don't know what they're doing. 100%.
Or that they do intentionally know what they're doing, and it's nefarious. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I think we should be open-minded about some of the stuff that's on this planet that I believe was given to us. And so I think we're kind of losing that. We get dumber every day. Technology is great, but when we're pulling up GPT for something that maybe we should try to use our critical thinking skills first, we're inherently dumbing ourselves down.
Yeah, well, so I don't even type it anymore. I just click the record button and talk to it. I don't even type into Chat GPT anymore. I also pay $20 a month for it. Fuck my life. No, it's pretty sick though.
It's awesome. I've seen it work. It's just something where I think that we still need to. Some people still need to go to paper books to learn things, and some people, need to be able to do this to learn things. So it's just a little inorganic.
Yeah. What would you suggest to somebody that is like super opposed and is just like never had a good mindset about anything about cannabis? Like I'm talking like far extreme. Like what would you point that person towards, or even somebody that's like indifferent? What would you? Yeah.
For somebody that's far extreme, I probably would not spend the time.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I probably would not spend the time. And even for people that are open to it, like through my experiences, you when for people that are slightly sick or even not sick at all, or people that are very sick, you cannot do these things for them. I can deliver the medicine. I can tell them what it's for, but I can't, and nor do I want to make them take it. It's not for everybody, first of all. The cannabis especially. People that have never used it in their lives, they might have a family member, maybe someone comes down with cancer and they're like, look, this could be good for you. Let me make you some brownies. These people throwing an ounce of fire into a pound of butter, and they're giving a brownie to somebody. First of all, they have no clue how many milligrams of THC are in that brownie. They did nothing to try to figure out how many milligrams of THC are in that brownie. And they're going to give it to somebody that's never, ever ingested this in their lives. And say, hey, this is, try this out. And it just doesn't normally turn out.
That's such a good point. I've never considered that, but I've 100 times the story. I had a corner of an edible, and I'll never do it. It makes a lot of
call
sense.
the emergency room.
Yeah, holy shit.
You make people gun shy very easily with edibles. Edibles are a ride that once you're on, for the most part, you're on them until the ride is over.
Yeah.
And, it's not great for everybody. I know through being a user, I'm 40, I'm getting ready to turn 45, almost 30-year cannabis user now. I know that the ride will end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know where we're going, But people that have never, you can make them gun shy, and it could be really, really good for them.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it. I have somebody that was helping with sleep, and I was making these fancy little chocolates, but they're tiny little chocolates. I was like, how can I get dosage up to where people don't have to eat 5 of these and ingest all this sugar at night, or right before they go to bed to help them sleep? And so I started double and triple extracting in the butter. Like after I did a round of butter, I got another fresh ounce of herb and put it in there and re-extracted. And I ended up making some very, very strong chocolates, and I didn't realize that. And I gave them to this girl, and she's like, yo, she was like, I was up for 4 hours. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Damn,
and it's like, it taught me again, like, dosage is very, very important. And that takes us back to RSO.
Yeah,
RSO
you said that was the
consistent.
best for edibles. Yeah.
Very consistent. So I can really get it close without being able to test product to make sure that I don't run somebody off that could utilize this medicine to increase their quality of life that would not otherwise be able to do it because the dosage is all over the place.
So it's like the RSO, meaning like you're using that versus like a flower. So is it like just because, why does the RSO, why is that working better to like evenly distribute the cannabis in it?
So with edibles, you can just throw flour into a batch of brownies and make brownies, they're going to work.
You like put the flour in the butter. Make the butter,
no. You can put flour. That's the old school.
Nice.
That's the old school method. Like people literally used to take herb, put it into brownie mix, bake a pan of brownies, and take it to parties, and people eating it.
Nice.
Yeah, they get the veggies too. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hey, you got some in your tooth there.
So excuse me.
No.
And so. We don't really do that anymore, although there might be medicinal benefits to ingesting that way that people aren't acknowledging or have looked at. But it makes it more desirable when we extract into butter.
Yep.
And then use the butter to bake, or coconut oil, and then use the coconut
fat
oil.
soluble, right? Or
Anything fat soluble, my friend works. Yep. Yeah. And so the RSO, here the difference is when we make butter, we have an ounce of herb, an ounce of flour that's going to start at, let's just imagine it's a starting percentage of 20% THC. That's going to make a stronger concentration of THC in that pound of butter than if we started with a flour that was 10% THC and we use the same amount of weight, right? It's going to be about half the strength. With the FICO, the full extraction cannabis oil, you would just end up with more or less oil in the final product than you would otherwise. So the oil itself doesn't end up in a higher concentration because of the starting product.
You just have more
you just
or
have
less
more
of
volume
it.
at the end.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but it's going to be a very consistent concentration from a strength aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would just have, more or less oil
Nice.
at that same strength. And so that's why it's so user friendly as somebody that's, going to introduce these things to people that are trying to transition from Ambien as a sleep aid to a 5 milligram edible, that they're not going to develop you're develop a tolerance.
Yeah.
But you're not going to develop a
dependency. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Big difference. Dependencies ruin lives, right? Tolerances just means you consume more.
Yeah. It's like I can hit 3 dabs now.
Yeah. I can't dab.
Really? That's
it's cold
interesting.
sweats for me, man.
Man, I was a joint guy. When I worked at the bar, I learned how to roll a joint because I worked at the bar, and then I just became a joint guy. Always a couple people around the bar, bartender comes by or something. I don't know. So started rolling joints, and then I thought dabs were just weird. They felt different to me. Just the whatever. Starting out in a metal nail rig that you're just making glow with the butane. It's just what is that shit? Resin, rosin, all these terms. I started to feel insecure just because it's what the fuck's going on. But
it's a whole other world.
Yeah.
The dabs are
certainly is. Yeah. But then I got introduced to it, and then probably post college.
Yeah.
It's a little dab day of the day. Yeah. Nice, man. Beautiful. So you talk when I first reached out to you and messaged you, you're like, yeah, man, this isn't really a business, just a community that we're launching here. What where does that go for you? How does this develop?
So I'm pretty blessed. My wife is pretty successful. I have a lot of time.
Awesome.
And so I've been enjoying kind of operating my mycelium. Just kind of sending out filaments.
Dude, that's so cool, yeah.
For some people that are trying to create businesses or awareness in the area. Yeah. And so I've been enjoying that. Kind of looking forward to seeing where that leads. I do think that I want to begin farming and maybe producing some organic amendments on site from things I gather on site. There are methods for that. And
give me an example.
So there's a whole movement called Korean natural farming.
Korean natural farming?
Mm-hmm. And then also Jadam. And I can't remember what Jadam, it's an acronym. It's Jadam, but a Korean man pioneered this whole farming practice. And it's basically all about gathering things locally that are available to you to make things that benefit cultivation. They benefit yields and health. You can make pesticides, herbicides, organically out of things that you can just gather around you. And so I am fascinated with that. You get to have these little chemistry projects in your home and utilize these things that make plants very, very happy. Lactic acid bacteria is a very, very good example of this. It's very easy to make. Start with water. You wash rice with water. So you would just soak some rice in some water, strain that off, put it in a jar, and then you just put a paper towel over it so that you can still have airflow. It's an aerobic process. Mm-hmm. So you want some air involved, but you want to keep the bugs out of it. And that will, that's actually, I believe, a small culture of lactic acid bacteria that comes off of that.
The rice water.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you take that and you put it into milk and let that sit at room temperature. And it's basically the cheese making process. I think the rice wash water operates as a rennet, where you can use synthetic rennets.
What's a rennet?
It's like the agent, the reagent that kicks off the cheese making process.
It's the catalyst. Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
okay.
catalyst.
Okay.
Yep. And so I think that's how the rice wash water is operating. And over several days, you'll see the milk separate into curds and whey. Mm-hmm. And then you collect the whey, which is the liquid, the clear liquid. And that's got all the lactic acid bacteria in it. And then
you water that.
You can use it as a foliar. You can use it as a soil conditioner.
Yeah.
It just, all of these, we're doing things so wrong. From a farming perspective, we're killing all the microbiology in our soil, and we're starting to find that these things that, that are doing all this work in the soil that we can't see, that they literally are going to die because you're going to use a salt-based fertilizer instead of an organic source of nitrogen. They're responsible for all the flavonoids and the terpenes and these different things.
The fertilizers, or the nutrients.
The microbiology in the soil are responsible for the final product of the food that we eat having certain nutritional values. And you see it in grass-fed milk cows. Way more flavonoids in the milk and in the cheese and in the butters that are produced from grass-fed versus otherwise. I saw a study the other day where they did it on grapefruits, and there's way more flavonoids in this grapefruit that was organically cultivated versus given salt fertilizers.
Yeah. Back to your point of God kind of figured that out, didn't
he? Yeah. And to achieve homeostasis, we need these neurotransmitters, the flavonoids, the terpenes, like they all balance out our endocannabinoid system, which it's just a wild thing to learn about. I'm still very, very ignorant to all of it.
Yeah.
Like I feel humble sitting here talking about it because I know there are better people to be speaking to. Yeah.
So talk a lot about plants. Like, have you ever raised animals? You said you put like alpaca shit on one of your plants.
Yeah, I found a local farm that
nice.
That she's not medicating them at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So
because you also made a post about that, I would love for you to talk about that too.
Yeah. So I mean, when we take things like ivermectin or antibiotics, we shed all of that through our feces. And that's what we're collecting from these animals, right? Is the manure to make compost. It's manure compost is high in phosphorus, which is good for usually the ending life cycle.
It's the K of NPK, right?
Yeah, it's the P.
The P.
The K is the potassium.
Potassium. Yeah. Okay.
And so, but that's still good though. It's still good.
Yeah.
It's going to be good for fruiting, for producing big fruits or big flowers. The phosphorus and the potassium are responsible for that, and the nitrogen is responsible for that vegetative stage of growth that we want to achieve. So the manure is good for that flower and fruiting stage. It's just the problem is that, if you're trying to foster a diverse microbiology in your growing medium and you're using manure from animals that are shedding ivermectin and antibiotics, it's kind of counterintuitive and counterproductive to what you're doing. And I'm probably taking it a little bit too far, but that's kind of how I operate.
Yeah, dude, like that's what I was, again, like the original thing was just like, I think you have some like takes that I don't hear everywhere. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, no.
Thank you.
That's sick. Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I'm lucky to have these people around me.
Yeah. Where did you meet them? Like, do you actively sought them out? Like,
it all came from meeting Josh, meeting Ronnie, and then going to the cannabis museum, and then hitting that follow button, and it just kind of like, spread. You know what I mean? Like into my life, mine into theirs. It's been. Sorry in advance. You guys are in for it.
That's fine.
It's been a great experience. It's been, to the point, man, where I posted something wrong on Instagram, and this guy called me and was like, "Hey, that's not what that's used for," and it's like something that I took from a class at the Cannabis Museum from this same guy, and I misunderstood it.
Okay.
I got it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he saw me post it, and he took time out of his day to be like, "Hey, that's not actually what that's used for," and this and that, and they come in such a humble way too.
That's
much appreciated.
Yeah,
it's much.
I mean, even for you to be like, "I made a mistake." Not everybody could say that. Yeah.
I think it's important.
I agree.
And shout out to psilocybin. It's also good for ego death.
Yeah.
So,
I did 5 grams one time and I didn't trip. But maybe they were bad mushrooms. You know what I mean? I did 3.5. So I've only done twice. The 3.5 and then the 5, and didn't have a psychedelic trip from them.
Yeah. But, everybody's different.
Yeah.
I'd say they were mids.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because it could be anything. They could have gotten hot in a car,
sure.
and then alkaloids will evaporate, that type of thing.
I see.
And so It's really hard to say like what could go wrong or what did
specifically they were like a ego death track. Like I was like it was very intentional. You know what I mean? It wasn't just kind of like I want to get faded today. Because I was like very afraid. I still kind of am. Like I have a little bit of
I've never done more than 1.5 grams personally, and it's always been plenty. Like not I wouldn't call that like hero dose like you hear you know Paul Stamets talk about.
Yeah, shout out Paul Stamets. Love Paul Stamets.
Oh my goodness, that story of him in the tree is just wild.
I don't know the story.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to retell Paul Stamets'
story. Yeah, do it, please.
So he's on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's talking about how when he was young, he had a stuttering problem, and it was very debilitating. And there was this girl that was like the girl next door in his neighborhood who, you know, he had a crush on. And so anytime when the anxiety kicked in, he would always stutter really, really bad, right? And she was a source of a lot of it. And it's something all of us young men can relate to. And so he didn't do this intentionally, but he segued into how he got like this bag of mushrooms from somebody, and nobody had told him what to do with them or how much he should take. And he ended up consuming, first time ever as a 16-year-old child, ended up consuming an ounce of psilocybin, which is 28 grams.
Yeah.
I've never done more than 1.5 grams, and it's enough.
Wow.
And so he said that he ended up in the top of this tree in the middle of a field, on a hilltop field. And next thing you knew, there was a large storm rolling in, like a thunderstorm, lightning storm. And he's stuck in this tree and decides that he's going to try to make it a positive experience. And so he's clinging to this tree, winds howling, thunder and lightning, and just starts saying to himself, repeating over and over again, "Stop stuttering now." Repeats it over and over again. Storm goes through. Hours later, the trip's over. He's walking back to his house like the next morning, passes this girl on the sidewalk, and she says, "Hey, Paul, how are you?" And he said he looked up at her and said, "I'm fine. How are you today?" And now he doesn't have problems with stuttering unless he said unless he's in like an environment, like a high overstimulation type environment, like a loud bar or something, and then he may have some issues. But he claims that he was able to cure that problem.
That's pretty wicked.
Yeah, throughout all that. Yeah. And
that's
so,
crazy. Have you anything other than psilocybin? Have you ever tried?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've ran the gamut.
So then what, like, I would say that's seasoned then, right? For you to like, so that, like, what, like maybe in the same way, you talked about the ego death. Like, do you learn similar lessons from psychedelics, from cannabis? So like, what is that? Like, how would you compare?
Specifically with psychedelics specifically, you're going to gain in certain moments, certain substances are going to help you gain a connection to the planet.
Yeah. Like a unity consciousness.
Yeah. And you kind of seeing that things that you're maybe an important part, but you're a very small part. Yeah.
You know, when I did the 5 grams of psilocybin, I think that was the only thing, because like I didn't have like psychedelics, but I felt this like really crazy collapse of everything. It was the distinction of outside versus inside my apartment. Like, it's like the wall just didn't feel like, I knew the wall was there, but I wasn't looking at a wall. And then there wasn't separation between there's like, you know, a window, and it's like just kind of, and then I just like was looking at the trees for an undisclosed amount of time. And just like, I felt like words are so bad to describe, but like I just felt like they were there with me. Like
the trees.
Yes.
Like to bring up trees specifically, I think is a reoccurring theme.
Yeah.
You know, Mother Nature, the planet, a connection to all of it, and why the trees? Why is it the trees that are a recurring theme with people? You know, because for me it has been as well. Yeah.
It's like the tree limbs themselves, like without the leaves or whatever, like it looks like that same like neural network is like.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
with
like
the spinal
cord
of the roots,
yes,
all of
like
it.
Right? So then it's like
maybe even resembling the endocannabinoid system.
Like and then you understand like it's the relationship. We breathe in what they breathe out, and they breathe out what we breathe. Like what the fuck?
Very symbiotic.
You know? Yeah,
it's very symbiotic. And they are with many, many other organisms.
Yeah.
And maybe they're way more sentient than what we give them credit for, right?
I agree. Yeah. It's just like that was like the profound feeling that I had coming away from the fight was just like, man, like, I always like love nature and stuff, but for sure, I just like that, whatever that was, that experience. Like, I mean, I remember it was profound. Obviously, but,
Good times.
yeah, for sure.
But, I've never really had a specific experience, like a come to God moment on psychedelics.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of those while sober.
That's good.
But like never.
What's your warnings about psychedelics? Like, to somebody that's never done them, what would you caution them with?
I would personally, after experimenting, I would say stick to psilocybin and start slow.
Yeah.
Like listen to what your body's telling you. Don't
great
listen to
advice.
what somebody else is telling you.
Yep.
Use a scale. Take a scale that weighs to the tenth of a gram and incrementally work yourself up. All psilocybin is different, just like cannabis. You end up with different concentrations and potencies.
It's like a pound of butter with 10% and a pound of butter with 20%.
There you go, baby.
There are differences.
Yeah, there are differences. And so, educate yourself on those. But I would stay, at this point in my life, I would stay more organic. There are, and that's just a personal opinion, personal belief.
Of course, that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, but like there are benefits to good, clean LSD. When you think of from a aspect of creativity
Jimi
or
Hendrix,
creation, music specifically, playing music specifically, hearing music specifically, learning.
It's the Grateful Dead thing, right?
So the last time I had this conversation, that was specifically brought up. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, it's so sad I missed that era.
Yeah, no, that's great. It means something. Yeah. But personally, I wouldn't, in good faith, say, "Hey, go search out these man-made chemicals."
Yeah.
Although they do have their benefits, I would say if that's something that you want to explore or experiment with, I would start with psilocybin, mushrooms, organically cultivated mushrooms.
Yeah.
Start small.
Be intentional. I think that's kind of what you're saying.
I think be intentional is a great way. A great way to move forward with it. Yes, because then when you're in the throes of that moment, you're able to go back to that, and hold on to it and be like, well, this is why I'm here, right? And although I may not like all of this information that I'm downloading, it's okay to accept it and move on from it, right? I think that's probably the best advice that I can give. But start small.
Yeah, for sure. No, those are awesome things, man. Hopefully that helps somebody.
Start small and be outside.
Yeah.
Be outside somewhere pretty.
I've heard that a lot too.
Be
like
particular
nature,
about the people that you're with, and about the mood. Make sure because the mood that you're in can translate into the mood that you're going to be in. So maybe take all those things into consideration.
Respect it. Treat it with respect. Like, I have a friend that was part of a lot of my caution. Like, I witnessed a bad experience of somebody else, very young, like probably like 13 or 14. I saw somebody have a bad psychedelic trip, not like my age or whatever, but that turned me off to it. And then once I was like probably open to the idea, then I heard a lot of the same advice of just like be very intentional and like you're not listen, if you want to go get fucked up, go to the pub and have some shots, man. That's not So I think I had really great advice and just had this couple experiences.
That is good advice.
That is very humble guy. Yeah.
Take your shoes off. Get grounded.
Oh,
touch
grounded.
grass.
Nice. Yeah. Love that.
But I would especially beginning, if you're going to dabble, stay with something that's grown on the earth.
Yeah.
And then if you want to move on from there, move on from there.
That's great advice, man. Yeah. Adam, cool.
But just I don't know. I'm on a path right now, and it's been just the last year. It's been all centered around legalization of cultivation. It's all centered around the plant. My life is not the same as it was a year ago, and it's because I'm growing herb.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what can somebody do? Like, can they write the people about this like new bill or something?
Yes.
Like what should somebody do to prevent like this backlash that's kind of coming back?
So let me bring up this link
Yeah,
specifically.
I could actually post it in the episode too.
I believe it's saveohiocannabis.com. I'm going to look it up real quick.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's www. Yeah, it's just saveohiocannabis.com. You can Google search it. You can type it
Cool.
in. And what it is a link. It's a pre-formatted email form that you put in your information and submit the information, and it's already a pre-formatted email. It goes to all the House reps or Senate reps, depending on where the legislation is at the moment. And so all you have to do is go to that website, fill out the form, and hit submit, and it will send a mass email to every rep in the state.
That's huge.
Yeah, it makes it super easy to do. Anybody can do it. It literally takes 15, 20 seconds. If you want to edit the body of the email to read something personal or from yourself, you can do that and then hit to submit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it just makes it, that's number one easiest way that you can get involved. The second easiest way to get involved would to be start hanging out at the Cannabis Museum. Lots and lots of grassroots activists locally that are at the Cannabis Museum.
So like when is that open? When should people visit it? Yeah.
Well, I have to look up their hours. They are not open every day, so that's a great question. I know. Let's see. Let's just look it up so everybody gets the right information. So they're closed Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then they are open Wednesday through Saturday, 12 to 5 p.m.
12 to 5.
Unless there's an event. And so they've been having music events, and we've also been having classes. So the best thing to do would go to their Facebook page or go to their website and get on the email list, and they will notify you of events. We've been having some good music there, and we're getting more.
Cool.
And the classes are evolving and developing, and it's a great little social hour, these classes, to get networked with people in the community, but you'll also learn a lot.
I'd be interested in going to a ground class. That sounds cool.
I would come.
How
It's
often
good times.
Yeah.
So last year they did an outdoor series of grow classes
nice.
that would kind of coincide with their growing season.
So
like,
like
you're
go
going to do this next,
and then
or
come
you're going to do
practice.
this next. Yeah.
Nice.
And then they did the same thing with indoor this winter.
Nice.
Where, they tried to structure the class around what would be happening next or then. And so I think that's going to be an ongoing thing. And it's really one of those things. I can't remember exactly when Kristen likes to set off the outdoor class. It's coming up soon.
Cool.
The first outdoor class for the year will be coming up very soon.
Nice. Have to look it up. Yeah.
And then there will be one, I think, once a month. Cool. Moving on all the way through harvest.
Yeah.
And
it's like October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So nice. So you said you do grow inside and out. Like, what is the what is, I say better? I'm sure there's like a lot of variables to each one, but like, what are the differences between them, or like, are the struggles of them different?
Yeah. So through, I don't have a whole lot of experience, but over the last year, I have discovered the outdoors is going to be my passion for growing. I don't really know how to do anything small, and so you're going to grow huge plants outside in comparison to inside.
Yep.
There are going to be subtle nuances that people may or may not notice that we don't even know about yet, where God's doing it right, and when we come inside, we're trying to mimic all of that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're really trying
the
to get
humidity,
it as close.
the fucking airflow, the air temperature.
Trying to make it perfect environmentals. And you just can't quite get there. But because you can control certain environmentals, the end product of the indoor is almost always going to be superior to the outdoor product.
It's more control.
Yeah, there's not as much pollen or dust flying through the air, or like hailstorms beating down on them or whatever.
See,
it
but
may be.
You would think that would make all the strong. Like, you would think that makes the plant stronger, right? Like,
I'm sure that there are things going on if we were to get into the details of how it's testing out. I think you'd be hard pressed, I would be very surprised to learn that there were not some medicinal benefits to a sun-grown herb versus a LED grown herb.
So you're partial to outside.
I'm partial, not the end product, just the whole process and being able to be barefoot out of my yard cultivating. Don't get me wrong, having that grow room in the basement this winter was a blessing for the winter blues. It was one of the most enjoyable winters that I've had in a long time. Wow. Yeah. And so don't get me wrong about that. But being outside, listening to my music and taking care of my plants is just way more enjoyable to me than being in my basement listening to music and taking care of my plants.
I heard that, man.
So, I've found that it's definitely my passion. The outdoor, the sun-grown thing is my passion. Yeah. It's just, it doesn't produces a marketable as a product, which is,
I don't give a shit about. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I can make so much medicine for people, on those outdoor plants because they get real big and they yield real high. Yeah. So that's good.
But explain that to me because what is isn't the legal limit that you can possess significantly smaller than the amount that you would furnish off 12 plants outside? 12 you and your wife, right? Yeah. It's still 12?
The way I'm interpreting that is that 2.5 ounces is the amount that you're allowed to move around with and possess. In your home, they can't, there's no real way that they could be like, oh, you grew too much, throw it away.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
That makes more sense. The transportation thing. It's like, you shouldn't have a pound in your trunk. What are you doing with that pound? Which is kind of maybe reasonable.
And, if law enforcement is listening and y'all politicians decide to put a limit on what we're allowed to have in our house, I'm fine with that. I'm going to keep growing exorbitant amounts of herb. I'll mulch my landscaping with it if I have to.
Dude, you do. Is that like you had the post where it was like the 3 lights outside, but it's like you have like that big loop kind of, and then you have your holes. Is that where your plants are at? That looks sick. Whatever that says. That looks awesome.
The garden's not done yet, so the 8-foot rounds will be are dedicated 1 cannabis plant per round.
Yep.
And then that perimeter that I tilled, we're going to grow veggies and possibly cut flowers in. And then the fence will go around all of that perimeter. Yeah. So nice. We're getting ready to get started on the fence. I'm waiting on a piece of equipment to come, and we're going to go off.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. That was exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it. I'm into ego death, but I'm definitely ego growing this year. Like I'm trying to grow as big as I can.
The cycle continues, man.
Maybe I'll take some mushrooms when I get home, kill that off a little bit. I don't know.
That's funny. What vegetables are there? Like what would you advocate to somebody who's never grown anything? Because I grew up a little flower bed here and there. Like my dad grew up on a farm in Albany. It's like my grandma lived with them and stuff. But I didn't grow up on a farm, and I just started this year. We got some chickens. It's 16 chickens, and we have a garden and stuff like that. And I don't know, but it's very intimidating. My significant other is a savant. She grew up on a farm. Incredible.
That's good to have.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. She's great. And so I get a lot of confidence from her, just kind of not knowing what's going on. And she's got some grasp, but what would your advice be to somebody that's just trying to grow some shit in a tiny little 8-foot backyard space, a student uptown or just somebody that lives in town, or maybe they live in an apartment and don't have a bunch of land. What's your advice to them?
Utilize the space you have. Yeah. Starting small is the way. If you don't have experience, then small is the way.
Yeah.
And you're going to be very, very surprised at how much you get out of it, even in your small space.
Yeah.
But if you're new to growing, what I would recommend, I would just go get some seeds and let it rip.
Where's a local spot to get some seeds? Cool Digs? Plug Cool Digs here? Where else would you go to get seeds?
Cool Digs certainly for cannabis cultivation, organic cultivation. You're going to be hard pressed to find these organic amendments anywhere else other than online.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Buy local. White's Mill has some stuff, but Cool Digs for sure. But as far as a vegetable garden goes, for seeds, I would, you can go anywhere to get them. I'm not sure if Sarah is stocking like vegetable seeds and
Sarah
Cool
who?
Digs.
At
Yeah,
Coolville,
at Coolville,
yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure if she is or not.
Yeah.
Most certainly go and find out and look around the store.
Yeah.
Talk to the people that are there. They're overwhelmingly knowledgeable about all things cultivation.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And so definitely go into the store and talk to them. But as for a beginner vegetable gardener, like grow some kale. It'll you can drop kale seed in the cracks of a sidewalk and it'll germinate.
Nice.
I had it growing in my indoor beds and I pulled stuff up and just laid it over on its side and it's now like a full-fledged kale plant because
Wow.
it re-rooted. Like
Nice.
it's hard to kill.
Yeah.
Like if you want to learn something to grow, or you want to learn how to grow stuff and you're looking for something to start with, grow kale. But I would still get a tomato plant,
Yeah.
get a cucumber plant.
Yeah.
They're going to produce.
Yeah. Those are the first two things I
you're,
grew. Yeah.
You're going to get, and
It's
the
funny.
tomato, a sun-grown tomato is just, it's heavenly.
Yeah.
It really is.
Deer
So-
fucked them up. I didn't put a fence.
So
in.
that's
Yeah.
probably
They
the
fucked up my
biggest-
cucumber too.
The
Yeah.
deer are very destructive.
Yeah.
The
So just
ruminants.
fencing, is that what you would do to keep them out?
Yeah,
Would-
fencing. You can do all kinds of other stuff.
Marigolds and shit. Like, is that a
Yeah,
thing?
I would fence it.
Yeah. We fenced our
it,
garden.
Fence
Yeah.
it and fence it high.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's it. We didn't. Yeah, we didn't do that. But we put we've just kind of like as we've been getting cans since we put up the garden fence, we just put like a dog food can up there, try to make some like noise and stuff. But
Yeah.
the second person in a row that said like make a tall fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tall fence.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll see.
The
We'll see
deer
how it
are our
goes.
neighbors.
Yeah, dude,
Good fences make good neighbors.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Shout out to, by the way, but you deer hunt, right? I think I saw a
I
picture.
have in the past.
Yeah? Nice.
It's been a lot of years since I've done that, but I really do have a connection to the whole process for going from woods to table with all of that. It's a very spiritual process.
It's different, certainly.
It is, and it's like there are some mental roadblocks to going through that process and then seeing the food on your plate,
Yeah.
But it helps you respect life.
Yeah.
Through
I
all of
agree.
it, you respect life a little bit more because of it.
Certainly.
And so it's definitely I think young children should be a part of raising a certain amount of livestock or a certain amount of harvesting organic lean protein from the woods, whatever it may be. But yeah, I haven't done it in a long time.
No.
It's a good way to spend money and
Sure
and
is.
spend time doing the things that you could otherwise be doing. But
Yeah.
I did get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I just kind of feel like I've been there and done that.
Yeah, dude. There's like a sense of accomplishment that, like, talk about ego deaths, like egos flaring back up. Like, there's just something I feel fucking good about putting a deer in the freezer.
Well-
Like, there's like I don't know, like like public accounting job. Like, I feel good when I do something for a client, and like I know that I helped him out, but. Dude, it just doesn't feel like
It's
feeling
ingrained
that.
into
Yeah.
you. It's
It feels
ingrained
good,
into
man.
it's in your blood. As a man, like
Yeah.
we're allowed to
That's
talk
what
about these things.
yeah.
Like you're kind of like plucking the strings of of your ancestry. And it feels good.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
But yeah, I don't know.
Did you look like a pretty jacked 45-year-old? You got a workout regimen, or you just like you
Yeah,
just always been
I
jacked?
try to be in the gym.
Yeah, man, you look good.
Thank
45,
you,
for sure.
Thank you very much. It's been a transformation. I was around 220 pounds there 2 Septembers ago,
Okay.
and I started intermittent fasting. Nothing super regimental or anything. I eased myself into the fasting, and I'm a breakfast person. Like I
okay.
love to eat.
Nice.
And I love to eat breakfast.
Quick little wake and bake.
Yeah,
Come
man.
on, dog. Hey.
Well, fortunately, a good sativa in the morning does not carry any calorie content with
Shout
it.
out.
So I'm going to break my fast when I
Yeah.
have that along with my black coffee.
Yeah, just caffeine. Oh,
Dude.
dude, come on, with
Yeah.
it.
But I started fasting and then just being mindful about the meals that I was eating. It's no processed, high protein with a veggie on the side. But I don't get too crazy about veggies either. It's just not my forte, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, activity. I'd be in the gym. I'm on a 2-week sabbatical. but 4 to 5 days a week, I'd be in the gym, weight training, and walking on the treadmill, on an incline in the treadmill has been life changing. I hate cardio.
Yeah.
I'm not really into it, but walking on an incline on the treadmill melts calories, and it's low impact on your knees.
Cool. Where do you work out at?
I go to Planet Fitness.
Oh, Planet Fitness.
Yeah, I go to Planet Fitness. It's cool, man, because in Coolville, we are equidistant from Parkersburg, Marietta, and Athens.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like almost the exact same drive time.
Yeah.
And so I can hit, depending on errands that I may have to run, I hit any of those Planet Fitnesses. And then we like to do backcountry truck camping and stuff too. So when we're out
Burn
west,
some fucking cows. Yeah.
yeah, when we're out west, we will poach a shower at Planet Fitness or something.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, we can get into any of them. So yeah,
That's
we can
cool.
go just be dirty, you know what I mean, for a day or two, and then go hit a shower and then get back out into the
So
wilderness.
what are some cool spots you've hiked? Or actually, Coolville too. Well, we can talk about hiking, whatever. I don't have a time limit. Do you have to be out of here?
No, I don't have a time limit.
Cool.
Yeah, as long as the comfort, and bro, I'm
Well, yeah,
Irish,
also-
so the
Shout out. I mean,
conversation
yeah,
will go
there's-
on and on.
Yeah,
I'm cool with it.
Nice. Okay, so let's go Coolville. Or wait, what was the first part? Yeah, let's go Coolville. Coolville's a very small town. What is it? Like a local may understand what Coolville is, but somebody that just comes to OU, maybe they don't know what Coolville is.
It's just a small town, man. No stoplight. You know, they got a post office and elementary school. The funny thing is that when we're out of town traveling or whatever, people ask where we're from. I always tell them Coolville, and they're like, "That's what? No way." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the mayor." And they are like, then they double down. But the funny thing about that is, I don't think Coolville has a mayor. That's how small of a town it is. I think there's a town hall, and there may be a city council. I don't know. But I actually live a good 6 miles off the interstate.
Okay. Cool.
So it's
Back in it.
Yeah. We're out in a rural area. Yeah, it's just small town Ohio, I mean, the biggest thing that happened to Coolville was the cool spot.
When that went away,
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's funny.
Yep. But so yeah, as far as local hiking and stuff, I really enjoyed this. We're blessed to have a beautiful piece of property, so we enjoy taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
We have some beautiful hiking there, but we will, take the tent and take the truck, and we'll go out to places like Utah or California or Arizona, and I get paper maps, and I look for high clearance 4x4 roads on the maps.
No way.
And that gets us away from people.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We take everything we need and just go out.
So just literally paper, no. Oh, I guess you have a phone with a GPS.
I take the GPS and I take the phone, but you never really know. You can download your maps ahead of time onto apps like Onyx Off Road or Onyx Hunt, and that's super valuable. But when you're out there, it just seems to be the information that are on the paper maps, and then the reliability of not having to have service and all of that is just the way to go for me. Because I mean, every single campsite is listed on them. Every single, the high clearance 4x4s or 4x4 roads are very clearly marked.
You just
on
take that Tundra out there. It's just
last year we did.
Toyotas are great.
Sometimes we fly and
Nice.
rent a Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah. Nice, cool.
And we'll take all of our camping gear with us and on the flight or whatever. Last year we did drive the truck to Utah.
Sick.
Oh, Utah is high on the list for places. Yes, Utah, you can get lost in Utah and you'd be driving down these 2-track roads on BLM land or national forest or whatever it may be, and then just look up and there will be a petroglyph panel, a large rock with a petroglyph panel carved into it, and you had no idea that it was ever going to be there. Or you look up into this canyon wall and there are still cliff-dwelling pueblos that are 3,000 or 4,000 years old that are still there and intact, So Utah is a special place, very high vibrational place. Wow. Utah is.
I've heard a lot of people talking good things about Utah. I got a coworker that lives out in Utah.
Super pretty. Yeah, it's very pretty. Yeah, we haven't done northern Utah. It's mostly been southern Utah, the Moab area and surrounding area and everything. But there's I think there's 10 national parks in Utah.
Wow.
It's a crazy number, for national parks. And then California is very, very high on our list. It's got 6 or 7 different microclimates. And then the thing about California is it doesn't matter if it's a gas station or it's a little diner or where you stop. The food is like apex dining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really
I was,
good
I was
stuff.
actually born in California.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was born in
Okay.
Ventura. It's like an hour north of LA.
Okay,
But
yeah.
I moved to Athens when I was 2 years old, so like
Yeah.
consciously, Athens is all I know,
Yeah.
man. But no, I love the West Coast. Staff family, we, my grandparents, my mom's side of grandparents, they like just like downsized into a fifth wheel, and they've like gone. They stayed in Utah for a couple months. A lot of places they'll just stay there for like 3 or 6 months, and or like now they're back in Lake Mead in Nevada.
Yeah.
But I really need to get over there, and try to go visit them. That'd be cool. It's the Utah experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So we'd like to get out of. I like to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm very blessed to have a wife who really isn't. She's really not that much of a risk taker, but she's never said no.
Yeah, nice.
Like it's always been like, I think you're capable of this. Like, let's go see what happens. So I'm very, very blessed from that perspective. We actually we had when COVID hit, we bought a sailboat in Key West. And we kept it in Key West for 4 years, and then we would travel back and forth. And like this sailboat was our floating apartment.
That's wicked.
Adventure vessel. So
Wow.
yeah, I learned a lot of things, mostly how to work on boats. Unfortunately, yeah, which is why we don't have it now. But we have the experience. We sailed it to the Dry Tortugas, which is 70 miles off of Key West, and we were going to do some other stuff, but never got around to it. But
like, how do you get comfortable doing that? Like, where did you get confidence to be like, I could fucking just take off in the ocean and I'll make it there? Like, when you can't see anything around you, how the fuck do you know where you're at?
yeah, so technology is a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes technology makes it realistic for a guy from Ohio that's never owned a boat before to buy a 38-foot, a 1984 38-foot sailboat and just go sail it around, live on it, fix it and stuff. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, technology, weather. And then we bought a Garmin, little handheld Garmin inReach for satellite communications. So that was pre Starlink.
Oh, yeah.
And now a lot of cruisers and sailors have made the switch to Starlink.
Nice.
And they're able to just be out in the ocean and have this crazy bandwidth out in the
It's
ocean.
pretty good. I have Starlink just in my house. It's great. It's fantastic.
It's hard to tell how many lives that has saved. We use it too.
it's awesome.
Out in Coolville. We didn't have great internet out there, and they raised the prices on us, and we were like, oh.
And now, like Nelsonville TV cable, like just got absorbed. It was like kind of the last local provider I knew of. I don't even know if they would even
There
be
was
able
nothing.
to.
Yeah. There was no
Frontier,
There was
maybe?
Windstream.
Oh, okay. I don't
And
even
now
know
it's
what it is.
Kinetic.
I
And
don't
Kinetic bought Windstream out, and it was strictly phone and what would they call it, broadband or something. It was like the internet through the phone line.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it was funny because Kinetic bought it, and then we went from $50 a month to like $110 a month, and Starlink is like 100 and whatever it is.
Yeah,
110,
20. I think I
120.
paid 20. Yeah, 120.
And we had already fired it up, and the Kinetic salesman was going door to door after the fact. And I
That
was like,
sucks,
I was
dude.
like, you walked right by it.
Yeah, that's
You
funny.
didn't
That's
see it
funny.
over there? I was like, you walked right by it, dude. And I was like, you guys should not have raised those prices because we're never going to go back.
Yeah.
He was like, all right, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But we got the RV model for a reason. We were going to utilize it.
Oh, like the travel stuff?
Yeah. It's just the flat dish or receiver or whatever, and then the router.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we like it out there, and we can take it anywhere we want to go with it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's saved a lot of lives. I guarantee it saved a lot of lives. People just on sailboats out in the ocean, they have a Mayday or whatever it is. Yeah. And I can give, where otherwise, you have your, what do they call it? It's all like VHF base, but it's like supposed to be your, like your last resort or whatever, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a radio device, and you can hit the button, and it sings off a ping, but people have to be within a certain
radius to receive it.
Yeah. And so the difference between that and satellite comms is that, you could be like, this is our location right now, and these are conditions, like this is what's happening. And you could, oftentimes if you've got enough battery, you can maintain that connection with people back and forth, where previous to all of that, it was, some rudimentary satcoms as well as those VHF. I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember what it's called.
That's crazy. No, I'm not an ocean guy. Not into it. Miss me.
Everything in the ocean has teeth.
Haven't we not explored most of it? Like,
None.
Come on.
None really.
Miss me.
Yeah.
It's not for me, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was fascinated about the idea of world travel by wind.
Yeah. Well, why are you still here in Athens? Have you had opportunities to leave? Is it just is your family also around here? Like, what? Yeah. Why haven't you left?
Family's here.
Yeah.
We like it here.
Yeah.
We like it here. We could go anywhere we wanted in the world and live, and we could probably figure out a way to live nomadically and work remote, but we like it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The people are good.
So you get out of Columbus, hour away, get to the airport.
Yeah,
You can get to anywhere you need from Columbus.
Yeah, absolutely. We go see, music, whatever it may be.
Fucking Marietta too, like you just mentioned, Marietta. But I didn't realize it was central to all of those. That's cool.
Yeah,
Because Marietta, little town, Parkersburg, Vienna, little town.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. So we have everything, everything we need, and then some, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wicked.
Yep. So we like it in Ohio. Back to Key West when we first got that sailboat. Everybody's like, well, when are you gonna move to Key West? When are you gonna move to Key West? And it's like, we're not.
Yeah.
We like it where we live.
That's cool.
Y'all don't know what it's like, and we don't mind that.
You start to hear about the Hocking Hill stuff, the way that's the outside money coming there. Kind of nowhere for them to come in Athens. It's kind of already filled up, which then is the Coolvilles and the Logans, the Nelsonvilles, the Gloucesters.
Yep.
Those are kind of the areas, right? That could happen too.
Yep.
Pretty wild though.
Yeah, it's just I see it changing out there. It's definitely changed because I grew up on that road.
Hocking Hills you're talking about?
Just the area where I live.
I see.
Hocking Hills, I probably didn't visit that until 10 years ago for the first time, so I wouldn't really know how that's changed. The writing's on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Where I am, it's Federal Road. County Road 26 is what it used to be called, but it used to be a bunch of farms, maybe a 20-acre farm or a 50-acre farm that you would pass these places as you go out. And, now the majority of those are broken up and they're homes, and there's a lot more traffic and this and that. So it's definitely changed out there. But, that's just the nature of life, Yeah.
What stays the same?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's the only thing that stays the same is that everything changes, doesn't it? You got to roll with those punches.
So that's what to say. That's what I hear.
Speaking of that, shout out Zane. I just started taking boxing instruction from a local guy that just moved back here from LA.
Nice. Where's the gym at?
Oh, we practice in the parks.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. That's cool.
We've been hitting the fitness court over by the rail trail over by the new fire department.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So how would somebody hit that guy up?
He's on Instagram, WBC Zane Summers. And
nice. Zane Summers. Yeah,
yeah,
Summers is a local guy.
Yeah.
I went to school. They were maybe older than me.
Yeah.
Zane, I don't think I ever would have went to school with him. Maybe his younger brother, I might have. But for sure, the Summers
Zane
family.
Zane would be a good guy to have on. He's a philosopher.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Fighter, philosopher. He's into psychology. He'd be a good talker in here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's a small world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. Yep. But so I just found him on Instagram, and I was like, hey, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and he's like, I'm in. Yeah, come see me.
That's cool. I took some jiu-jitsu and some Muay Thai classes at one academy. It's like an ex police officer, Carlos, maybe. I forget his last name.
How was that?
It was good. I went but I also coached middle school football, and I tore my ACL at football, and so then
That's funny because I would have expected it to happen at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Well, I haven't gone back since tearing my ACL. Honestly, kind of just on some bitch shit. I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah, I was going. The other thing was I was going with with a friend. They stopped going too, while I was recovering from a torn ACL, and then it's just I never made it back to the class. But I was paying for the membership forever, and I was fuck. 8 months later, was fuck. But then I canceled it, and I haven't been back. But that's cool. Yeah. I like. I like instruct that amount of instruction. You know what I mean? It's easier for me to go to a jiu-jitsu class than it is to just go to the gym for an hour. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I really enjoyed that, and I would assume that, you know, something like that, like a boxing type thing,
And
would be very similar.
the benefits are multi-dimensional,
Yeah,
right?
man.
You get these mental health benefits from taking out some frustration.
It's honestly what I need, man. Like football
Yeah.
growing up was that for me. It was just
Yeah.
like how, like that's how I dealt with my ADHD growing up. Was like fucking physically exert yourself. Let me fall asleep before I hit the pillow, and you know maybe that'll work. So I mentally, I mean, I need that more. I think than most.
And then it's great for confidence as you just move through life, right? To know that you can break somebody with your hand.
Yeah. It was like for sure 110-pound girl whipped my ass for 3 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And like there was just no avoiding it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like it sucked pretty bad.
It tells a big story about just the everyday life, like when you can specialize in something, like how you can really, really, you know, anybody can rise to the top, you know, of something if you just focus on it and educate yourself and work on it, right?
Yeah, start slow. Yeah,
Start slow.
Get into it. That's wicked.
But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with Zane.
Cool.
I would definitely recommend anybody that would be interested in something. I'm trying to talk him into doing a cardio boxing class. He's going to hate me for bringing that up.
Yeah. Put him on the spot.
Now it has to happen.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. I'm happy, very blessed to have met him.
Yeah.
And everybody else in the Athens family, very, very happy to be here. We've come to Athens for years, but never really integrated into the community until now.
I feel a little bit that way. It's interesting that you point that out, right? Like people that have been around for a while, just like people that are really integrated. Like I thought I was integrated, and then I was like, oh, I've just been around, you know. But I got off social media for a long. Like in college, I ran a social media account for like Barstool Sports. It's like just a media company, and it burned me out. Like I was on social media for like 50 hours a week. I mean, I like got 2 Ds the very first semester. Like it just like total crash out. It's all like very fast, hedonistic, instant gratification. Like I don't know. And so I got burnt out on it. And I stopped, and I didn't get social media again until I tried to like realize like, oh fuck, like whatever. Just maybe like create a couple socials for this podcast. And I'm kind of overwhelmed again, coming back to it now, like having been away for so long. Like but it like kind of collapsed the the gap in reality that I'm not integrated. Like holy shit, there's so much going on everywhere all the time. Like but that's what's exciting for me is that I think like kind of take this podcast thing through those, you know.
So man, social media can be very cancerous. Like if you hit the search button on Instagram and it's an entire grid of half nude women. It's like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, it's really not good for the soul. It's not good for the brain. It's not good for our youth. Yeah. But it's a very, very good way of getting information out to people. It's a great way to network. Just the educational aspect of it. I had this conversation the other day with a friend I highly respect. And then another dude that I just met that was just like, I mean, he was falling all over himself to like make fun of me for even having an Instagram. You know what I mean? Like this and that. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just like, oh, look at me, and this and that. And it's like, well, it kind of transcends that a little bit, you know? Like, with the podcast, not everybody can pick up a book and learn something, right? There's a lot of education out there on the podcast where they can listen to 2 people talk. Yeah. And they maybe they suffer from dyslexia, right? And even if they could get over the anxiogenic thoughts of having to read this and comprehend it, like even if they could get over that anxiety, they still wouldn't be able to read it and comprehend it. You know, but they could sit down and they can listen to a podcast and be like, oh, I know how to do this now.
I'm a conversational learner myself.
Yeah. And so like not everybody can pick up a book and learn something. They might need a video on YouTube. They might need to listen to somebody having a conversation, or they might actually need to be the person that gets in there and does it, you know? And so I think it's important to be able to like, personally for me, like, differentiate like, or to come at it with intention. Like, what is this going to be for me? Like, what am I going to get out of this? Or what are other people going to get out of this? And I think that's important it's a great tool. you know, but it's also, you know, there's also some bad things that come out of it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, I guess I got like obsessed with my screen time. Like, it became a lot easier to reduce your screen time once, like I got rid of social media apps, and then I didn't have them for a while. But yeah, sometimes I just kind of have to be like, oh yeah, hey, get out. Like it'd be like the third time I've opened Instagram for the day at 10 a.m. and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, like that. That gets me.
I try to keep my notifications
Yeah,
on.
I personal mode. Have you ever used personal mode? It's like you can like
No, I just turn everything off.
Oh,
Everything's
that's great.
off.
I don't
Yeah.
like the only like it's like
when I pick it up, that's when I see it.
My other football coaches, like I'll get notifications from them or like my significant other, but otherwise it's like it doesn't see until I look at it, which is helpful. It's like again attention, like it's just like moderating that, like what can steal my attention away. This is really helpful because that's something we didn't talk about earlier. Like talk about just about like medication, like there are physical activity is like another thing to like manage instability or like maybe mental like anxiety. Like it's like there are other things other than even medicine that you could do to mitigate some of those things.
That's one of the biggest biggest benefits of physical activity, in my opinion. Do you know doctors are allowed to prescribe exercise?
That's fucking I didn't know. That's crazy.
I mean, they never do.
Yeah.
But they can prescribe exercise. Like, and I don't know what that would mean from a health insurance standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would mean that now your health insurance, it would probably be a fight. But would your health insurance now pay for your gym membership instead of your prescription pill?
I think like corporations are kind of taking that on, where it's like
well,
instead
they should
of,
because it's going to save them money.
I forget what they called it, but it was like one of the corporations. They were talking about like the total rewards package, and it was just like in addition to having health insurance, it's like there's also a subsidy for whatever nutrition supplements or like going to like gym memberships or Pilates classes or like kind of whatever it is, and that's pretty exciting.
And they should. It's going to save. It's not just going to save them money. An employee they're bringing those things into their lives is going to be a more productive, happier person, right? Like just all around, well-rounded. Like it's going to be in a better place. Like we need physical activity.
Just back to the garden, that outside in the sun, feet on the ground.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we need it. Like that right there is a huge point to hit on because. I bought a CO2 monitor because plants love carbon dioxide. So I bought a monitor controller so that I could introduce carbon dioxide into my grow. Because I have gas appliances in my house, my CO2 levels are already off the charts as far as like what's available to these plants. There's already plenty available to them because I've got a gas stove. You know what I mean? Like my range top is gas. Every time I make eggs in the morning, boom, CO2. And it's all, at first it's going to rise because it's coming from a heat source, but it's heavier than air. It falls. So it's all going to go to my basement and be available to those plants. But through that, you realize that outside, like CO2 levels outside of your home are going to stay at a very, very consistent 400 parts per million. You get inside of your home, and even if you didn't have gas appliances, if you're just breathing in your home, those levels are up to 700, 800 parts per million, 900 parts per million, depending on the size of your space and like your appliances that you have. And so it's good to open those windows up and air your house out. It's good to get outside, like for your energy and for your health and everything to breathe that. We don't say that I need to go outside and get some fresh air for no reason. There's a reason, there's an intention behind that.
For sure. I'm very, very blessed that I have some control over like the schedule that I work, and there is a correlation to it warming up and me getting off earlier. Like I'm willing to get on my computer at 5 a.m. because at 1:30, dude, when I'm like out back at my house, like just kicked off the shoes, like it's something great about it. Like with just you got the afternoon, fucking the sun. I like birds. Man, it's like starting to hit me. Like my significant other pointed it out to me that like I started like staring at birds with binoculars. Like it's hitting me. I just, man, I don't know, man. It's slowing down. It's the where I'm at now is like definitely the most rural place. It's
that's
it's
great.
Really beautiful. Yeah.
It's good. It's such a healthy way to live.
Yeah.
It's just things we don't think about. When a car goes down the road, there are microparticles of rubber coming off those tires.
Yeah.
I saw a study the other day
Yeah.
that said something about like all the way up to like something like 5,000 feet of elevation, like the parts per million of rubber particles in the air just from cars going down the road is off the charts. So there's something to be said for living out in a rural environment.
Yeah,
And just the simple fact that there are less, you don't hear them.
Yeah.
That those, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You you go all winter, you don't hear songbirds, right? And then the spring hits, and it's like, oh, I can hear these frogs now.
Yeah.
I can hear these birds now. It elicits a response. We take so much for granted, really,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was something that, going back to the Key West thing, that's something that Key West taught me. There are no songbirds in Key West. There are no hills in Key West. It's a tiny little island that's really got a lot of bad mojo surrounding it. It really does.
Wow.
Like, historically going back, they used to call that, it used to be named by the natives, it was Cayo Hueso, which translates to Bone Island. So it was like a burial ground at one time, and they've just developed all these wealthy people.
Fuck, yeah.
You know what I mean? Live in Key West and go out and get drunk and do what they do, and that's like the only thing to do there,
Yeah. Put in bed.
Huh?
It's like put in bed.
Yeah, it really is.
Just
Yeah,
bigger, yeah.
yeah, really. It's probably not bigger.
Oh, really?
No, Key West is
Damn.
tiny.
I've never
yeah.
been to I've never been to either, actually.
Yeah,
Like
I
Put in
haven't
Bay,
been to Put in Bay, but I've heard people describe it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, and it sounds like Key West.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
an island.
I mean, that was
the only thing to
reminding
do
me
is
of-
get on the
yeah.
water and drink, and that's it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's why we're not there anymore.
Yeah.
It got old. But we would come home from being there for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is, and it's a cacophony of songbirds and coyotes and
Mm-hmm.
owls and whippoorwills and whatever, and it's like, we're not moving there.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I lived in Cleveland after I graduated. I moved up like towards the end of the pandemic. Lived
Yeah.
up in downtown Cleveland for 2 years, and I felt like reasonably so. Right when I moved up, it was like very hard to transition to like just kind of know nature, and then I tried a deprivation tank float.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It was crazy. I mean, it's like we were talking about psychedelics earlier.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you partake in that while in the deprivation tank? Because I know that's those therapies.
High levels
they
of
deprive
high
you
levels
of
of
stimulation.
edible THC is what I
Okay.
would, but like so
That's still wild though.
yeah, it was I mean, I did it sober. I only did the edibles maybe 2 of the times. Maybe I've done it like 10 times total.
Mm-hmm.
But the very first time, like, I mean, just the true like cessation of like I couldn't tell if my eyes were open or closed. Like no light, no.
What kind of response did that elicit out of you?
For sure. I mean, like
Did you panic?
a little bit,
Yeah.
but I almost like longed for that because I've been so overstimulated my whole life. Like I don't think that's the problem. I don't think I have a problem focusing. I think I have a problem regulating it.
Yeah.
Because if I want to pay attention to something, I can do it for 17 hours straight and then forget I didn't go to the bathroom.
Yeah, till the dopamine wears off.
So, but I don't. Yeah. So
with
it
you.
was kind of, I don't know. It was honestly, it was very, very loud. Just kind of the practice of bringing the voice down and just kind of going back to your breath. And so it took a couple sessions to maybe get something out of it, but there was this moment where in this third or fourth session of doing it, I had this moment where I disappeared. The only thing that could compare it to is just a psychedelic experience where there is no self-awareness of self or again, right? There was just this thing where it was I just disappeared.
Yeah.
It was almost like my head just tilted back like that and it was just evaporated.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was 7 minutes. I don't know if that, obviously it could only been whatever, but then I walked out of the deprivation tent. It was called True Rest Float Spa. Walked out of there and it's in kind of a little, what would be the Athens market where there's a Texas Roadhouse and there's a strip mall, but there's
Yes.
kind of, so it's you're walking into nothing.
Boom.
Yeah. Fucking a parking lot with cars and fucking stores. I heard the fucking birds just
Yeah.
screaming,
I love
and the
this.
sun was so fucking
I love
bright, and it
this.
was just like and then ever since that moment, like walking out, and all I could do was just like, it was so bright, like I almost like, you know, shielded my eyes, and I could just immediately hear the birds, and then I've been able to find them ever since. Like I've never not been able to find, like I could look at this fucking plant and that's enough for me now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Like I don't know what happened there. I don't even know how to explain it. Again, words are terrible to describe, but ever since that experience, like then I let go of the like, oh, there's not nature here. And then I found so much. And then like I found this little spot where everybody in Cleveland takes their dogs. And like, it's just like things just unfolded for me there.
You know, I think it's the human condition is we want things that we don't have.
Yeah.
And so you were deprived
Yeah.
of it. But it's almost like you keyed on the things that you needed to have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Versus the things you wanted to have. I
Yeah.
don't know. I love that story though. I've never tried it.
Yeah.
I've heard
It's
stories.
fucking crazy. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and I've also heard, you know, stories of sensory deprivation through a whole gamut of psychedelics, MDMA to LSD to
Holy shit.
psilocybin,
Yeah.
or some sort of, I can't remember the combination that was explained to me, but they explained some pretty profound experiences. But really what yours, to me, sounds like almost like a form of meditation that I achieve, like through yoga, even.
Big yoga guy. I like it. Yeah.
Have you?
For sure. I like found that in Cleveland around the time that I started going to the deprivation tank.
Yeah.
Like one of my coworkers mentioned to me, like I had done yoga, like a YouTube video yoga class. I've never gone to a studio, but a coworker of mine in Cleveland introduced me to Inner Bliss Yoga Studio. Shout out Anna from Inner Bliss Yoga Studio. It's like that was my lady. Yeah. And like somebody said in one of those sessions, like yoga is a breath practice. Like the poses are optional, right? It's about how do you breathe in.
It's meditation.
Yeah, and so
Yoga's
just
a
that, like,
meditation
the practice,
session.
Yeah, the
Yes.
practice of calming the mind, coming back to stillness. Like that is meditation to me. Like meditation to me is not like the Zen 20 minutes where I could like transcendentally like just zoom out of like the whatever this voice in my head, but it is literally the practice of releasing like that thing, right? Observing like what is on the stage rather than fucking clutching on to this, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like
Yeah.
that's what the deprivation tank like it all you could do, like fucking there's nothing to grab onto, nothing
to
You-
grab
you
onto.
You couldn't even tell if your eyes were
It's
open.
free falling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know.
I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah, it's really. I think the closest place, like, dude. I mean,
And I'm okay with like losing control.
Yeah,
Some people are not.
That's the same thing with the psychedelics.
But
like, I was afraid to lose
embrace
control.
that, and it sounds like something I would really enjoy.
Yeah. I think the closest one is Columbus. Like maybe there's some. Like I even thought it was a small business idea. Like I thought like it would be sick, or even just like getting somebody in Athens to do it. Like somebody like Serenity Roots, the yoga studio. It used to be Bodhi Treehouse.
Okay.
Like over by AEP in
Yep.
Athens, and like I've gone to a couple classes there, but even there kind of seems like the perfect spot because they are kind of like tucked away, and it's like a whole little compound. It's like, I don't know, but I think it would be awesome. Like, but to kind of take the capitalism part out of it, like I think that they like that's where we should put some money, like fucking fund some deprivation tanks. Yeah, dude. Like
maybe instead of metal sculptures on the rail trail.
I mean, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We could do something that
dude.
promotes mental health.
For sure. I think
Or
it's
a
crazy.
connection to nature. You know what I'm saying?
People
Like,
just usually gloss their eyes over at me. Like they're just like, oh fuck deprivation. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of write it off.
There's got to be some sort of like primal reconnection.
It's crazy.
Because we are overstimulated, brother.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, come on.
Yeah.
You know, like, and like that's where when you challenge somebody's addiction, right? If they're addicted to being overstimulated,
Fucking
that
give me that. I want
tablet-
75 notifications every minute.
If they're addicted to that and you challenge it, just like a food addiction or a heroin addiction or an amphetamine addiction, the addiction comes out and starts speaking for these people, right?
Yeah.
And reacting for these people. And so
Reacting, not acting. That's important.
reacting
it is.
for
It
these
is a
people.
reaction.
Yeah. And so when you challenge that, even if it is a tablet addiction, like you're not going to get the best out of, the best reactions out of people, even if they're not attacking you.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they would just go numb.
Yeah.
Good times.
And it's like the True Rest place, they have it figured out. Like, cause it like again, there is a lot of like hesitation towards it, but like they show you a video in the beginning of it that explains like like there's a light like cause whatever it's like in a room with the shower, and like you don't have to close the pod. You know what I mean? So like if you want lights, like you can even turn on color lights. You can plug your aux in and listen to like a whatever some chakra video. I did that a few times.
Alan Watts,
I
whatever.
preferred no video audio to like because I I tried like just like some normal music, and then I tried like the like a chakra or whatever, like 1 hour lined up, because it's like your session's about an hour.
I could see the benefit of that.
Yeah, I preferred no, because it gave
full
me an
deprivation
hour.
is going to be a pure
100%.
experience, right? And I don't even I have I don't know. It sounds like you got a positive benefits from it. Yeah, it sounds like a positive experience.
Solely, yeah. I mean, I don't think anything negative happened. Again, like that one weird experience of like disappearing. Like it was like, what just, that was, because like it was like almost like a snap too. It's just like,
that
what
might
was
have been
that?
the whole combination of all. Like you may have got there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you may have,
wherever
like,
that is.
Yeah. Sober.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It was sober. Yeah.
California sober. I can't. I can't claim herb as being not sober, although it's technically it is not. But
yeah. I also said, like, when I was taking Vyvanse and Adderall, I didn't consider that sober either. Yeah. Honestly. So it's like,
I wouldn't personally consider it.
Yeah. I agree.
It was bad. I really rewired my body. And I wish I wouldn't have. So if you're a student and you're listening to this and you're studying an Adderall, you should be very careful.
Yeah.
Be very careful with it. You should probably just stop.
Altogether. Yeah. It's not worth it, man.
Stop.
It's really not.
It feels like it at the time.
Especially now, like I heard a story, I don't know, like people trying to buy like off-brand shit and it having like fentanyl and stuff. Like, thank God.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't know anymore.
Dude,
like even if they, these people are going to tell you it came from the pharmacy.
Of course. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these are anybody can buy like if you're listening to this and you don't understand this, you should know anybody can make a pill out of anything. They can make it look like anything.
Fucking
they
drywall.
Want. Yeah, they can do whatever they want with it. So
maybe it's a blessing and a curse. Maybe it's a blessing that I had the prescription so that I didn't try any of that like fucking kind of second rate shit, or like 'cause there's pressure to sell. Like this, like as soon as somebody found out that you had it, they would fucking hit it, or it's like like, oh my God, it was the worst. Like a friend of a friend of a friend's like, hey man, I heard you got, and it's like, dude, get the fuck away.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who the fuck are? Yeah, it was so scary. So maybe it's like I didn't ever have to do that.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Good
but I
times.
don't know. Whatever. Yeah, well, good or bad.
But yeah, don't recommend it. It's great in the short term. It feels like God's drug in the short term.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking dopamine, man.
Yeah.
Do you think I think that's what fucked me up? Because like when I got off of it for a while, like when I got off of my stimulant prescription off of Vyvanse, like my nicotine consumption went through the fucking roof.
Yeah, and so nicotine's going to raise energy levels, right?
Fuck. Is it just trying to like replace it? I don't know how like the amphetamines like fuck up your dope. I just know that it ramps, or even specifically marijuana with that. Like honestly, I loved nothing more than like if day free, it's Saturday morning, I wake up at 7 a.m. I'm gonna rip that Vyvanse, and 30 minutes later I'm gonna be like smoking a joint. It's like just the greatest fucking feeling, because you got the up of the fucking stem, but you're like I think that was a trap for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we made it. We made it out.
Yeah, good. Cheers.
Shout out.
But if you're studying on Adderall, stop.
Yeah, for sure. Not worth it.
Take mushrooms.
I don't think it's about what. So like when you say like a microdose, like what is the definition of a microdose? Like,
non-psychoactive.
But that
levels,
could be different for
so
everybody.
that you will not perceive that you have taken anything, which is depending on potencies. It's according to my psilocybin mentor, is and many other large
Advocates,
minds. It's going to be 1/10 of a gram by weight is going to be where you're going to start at, and that can actually, you can still feel that a little bit depending on other things that you have or have not ingested. There are neurotransmitters that will amplify the effect. Wow. Chocolate amplifies the effects of both cannabis and psilocybin. I'm not sure if it's the anandamide, the neurotransmitter in chocolate, that does that. One of them in chocolate, specifically to cannabis, operates like THC does as a neurotransmitter. It binds to the same CB1 receptors and creates the same effects and amplifies the effects of it. And then the same thing happens with psilocybin. Mango has myrcene in it, which is a terpene that you find in some strains of cannabis, and a mango will amplify the effects of cannabis. There are studies out there. If you're interested in the nuances of cannabis and the things that it contains, I would highly recommend that you go to and learn this from Josh Crozier. He's a great mind. He's a great local mind to pick that brain, and he will spend time with you. Dr. Ethan Russo has a lot of studies that he performed in conjunction with Johns Hopkins University, and they're all published. Wow. And he's got a specific study on limonene. I think I pronounced that correctly. It's a terpene you find in a lot of cannabis, and how it will mitigate the effects of a THC, what I would like to call an overdose, where people, who are not used to eating edibles are going to get on that ride, and they're all of a sudden they're like, I'm going to have a heart attack. I need an ambulance. And for anybody out there listening, the EMTs are going to laugh at you when they come. Of course. But one thing you can utilize is maybe you can have like a little bit of squirt from the oils that come out of an orange peel or a lemon peel that's going to have limonene in it, and that can help mitigate the effects. Eat a tangerine. You can eat a peppercorn. You can chew on a peppercorn. That's got caryophyllene in it. So that is a neurotransmitter that will mitigate the effects of a THC overdose. So we're learning every day.
So like what, charcoal for alcohol? Is that what they shove down your throat if you go to the hospital?
No kidding. That would probably help, wouldn't it? That absorbs all things.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, charcoal. And I probably wouldn't be eating charcoal to mitigate the effects. But yeah, I'm a bread and potatoes guy. Irish to the core.
Yeah, that's right. I think Schaefer. I don't know. I think that there's some Irish. That's my mother's maiden name.
Okay. Yeah. So the Sheff is German for sure, but I've got passengerless. I've got a crazy synchronicity story about I moved into an apartment in Parkersburg when I was 21, and it was a historical home that had been sectioned off different levels, sectioned off into apartments. And I moved in, and my aunt had told me that my great-grandfather lived there, had that house built back in the day, and I was like, oh, that's cool, And then a couple weeks later, I was in the basement doing laundry, and there was a unfinished stud wall with like a wooden panel, an old wooden panel nailed to it, and it turns out it was a piece of an old crate, and had a paper label. It had my grandfather's whiskey business. And it was addressed to him. And it was like 24 of something stouts, said Garrity and Hines Wholesale Liquor Dealers on it, and it was addressed to Thomas Joseph Garrity, and that was my great-grandfather's name, T.J. Garrity. Yeah, I ripped it off the wall. I have it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But he's on passenger list of the Lusitania. Used to import whiskey from Ireland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah. So
you ever been to Ireland?
No, I need to go.
Yeah. I've never left the country. Honestly, I don't have a big desire to. Maybe I will someday. I don't know.
International travel has been quite fun. I've only been to Canada to fish with friends, so I don't really count that. We didn't really immerse ourselves into the culture. We immersed ourselves into...
What were you fishing for?
We were lake hopping.
Oh, okay.
On, I think they call it Queensland. It's like their national parks. And we were lake hopping and just
game
trolling, trolling for pike.
That's wicked.
Which will bite on anything. Pike you could put a quarter and a hook on the end of a line and they would bite it.
Nice. Yeah. That's good fishing,
Yeah, very aggressive, cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, and then other than that, recently we went to Costa Rica, but I would highly recommend international travel. It just opens your eyes to how welcoming other cultures are, and, just seeing just how people live their lives differently is amazing. It's pretty cool. I definitely highly recommend it if you're able. Then get out there and see some of these different cultures.
I just assume that it'll come like the wanderlust thing will come.
Yeah,
it's
not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's really not. Everybody is different. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. But I enjoyed it. I even all the way down to immersing myself into the driving in Costa Rica. Like it was just wild. It was like
like free for all. Like
it's a free for all. It's a free for all, and people will. The culture there is so much different. Like it's dangerous to drive there, but people will cut you off and beep and get in.
What's car insurance like there?
I have
like
no
you get
idea.
hit, then what?
So it's different. It's a mutual thing. Like if you're a Costa Rican and you get into an accident with another Costa Rican, your insurance pays for your part. Their insurance pays for their part.
Whoa, okay.
It's totally different as an international driver. As an international
Fuck
driver,
you pay.
yeah, you're responsible for everything.
Yeah.
But like to see how crazy it was and aggressive the driving was. And then also there was zero road rage. People will just cut you off and get right in there. And there is nothing more than a smile and a wave from either party. Everybody's cool with it.
They're just used to it. It's fucking this side. Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
It's a smile and a wave instead of like, show them their single digit IQ. And, you know what I mean? And like cuss them out or curse them out. Or
it's also an ego death thing, man. Do some mushrooms.
It really is. Like, life is too short.
I feel bad.
People realize that.
Yeah. It's like, I feel bad, man. Like, I hope that your life gets better.
Yeah.
I really do.
I experienced it yesterday. Like I was like, I hate to admit this, but I was at a drive-through of a fast food restaurant, and I heard somebody yelling, and I was just like, in line, minding my own business, and I heard mother F this, mother F that, and this guy was yelling at me, for going too fast in the parking lot of the fast food restaurant, and I just laughed. I was like, whatever, bro. Like, life's short. Like,
heard that.
I hope your day gets better.
Man.
Here, you want some of this herb?
Keep it pushing.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm enjoying the path that I'm on right now.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
It's good to hear.
Enjoying the people that I've met, including you. I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. This is awesome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Like, you just my immediate thing. Like, you're just very giving. Like you just this is awesome. Like to come in here, like the beer that was sick. Like the stuff for the moms. Like I even left here with something for my mother. Like that's I appreciate that.
I love
so
that.
much, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm all about, man. Right now I am all about sharing word, sharing medicine, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
love.
Keep on keeping on, man. Thank you so much for your time and perspective. Like, if you ever have anything you'd like to promote or like you want to come talk about, we're working on getting some extra mics in here. So like, even if you wanted to like come on with one of those dudes you talked about,
we're gonna do that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it'll be done soon. And so recurring invite, man. Like, anytime you want to come
so much.
For sure. Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you so much.
Adam Sheff, appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Tyler.
Awesome. Bye.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.